Okay, well. Gonna do some audio monitoring because my microphone is picking up way too much noise. I found out in my last one, and all I have to do is change a simple setting on that. Let's see if I can take a listen here. It's like a quick listen to how my voice sounds. So, question would be, how do I monitor peculiar? Here we are. I think I have discovered what I'm looking for. Alright. Okay. Oh. Hello. Hello there. Let's try something. That's loud. Oh. That's picking up everything. Now how's that sound? It might be this. Okay. Maybe that's better. Wow, that mic picks up a lot. How can I do that? Hold up. So way too much background. Wonder how I fix that. Bro Memento. I love that name. Okay, I gotta stop listening to myself. Oh my gosh, you can probably hear that. Hold on. Hold on, that sounds like an echo. Here we go. Off. Alright, good. Currently drifting once again. Curious where we'll end up. Sup, man? What's up, man? Thanks for joining, Andrew. Hey, how you doing? Welcome. I am kind of tweaking my audio here. I don't know. There's supposed to be a way I can use this microphone to just pick up my voice and not background sound. I hope it sounds good. What is up? I'll be playing with a few things today while I'm doing this, such as this. Whoa, a lot more zoomed in. You see, I have an idea with this. I'll have to charge that. Okay. Sounds good. I don't know about the settings. All mics I've ever used are the headphones ones. Yeah, I'm using a mic. You can't see it. It's hanging right here. Oh, I watched that. I saw Vinland Saga. Actually, I made it, I think, somewhere deep into maybe the second season. I was watching what was coming out on Netflix, so I got to the point where I had to wait every week for it to come out. So I kind of lost interest and moved on. But it reminds me of another anime I just recently watched called Berserk, which you may know. Bit sick, so I'm currently just laying down with no appetite. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. Hope you get feeling better soon. Get through it. Oh, I look like, oh, okay. Yeah, I've definitely got some Norse in me, some Hyperborean, some Celtic, actually mostly German. Oh, I gotta stop shaking. Look at that, making the whole thing shake. Okay. Part of this is working on getting more acclimated to just being myself on camera. And it helps if I cover up my screen so I don't have to look at myself. Oh, that's cool. I'm learning here. I'm learning how to use my little streaming app here. I wish there was some way I could shave down the delay. Am I sure if I'm an American? I've wondered that my whole life. I have the tism, so with the press of one mental button, I lose all social pressure. Okay. I get it. Yeah. I've been learning my whole life how to be me, I guess. Be comfortable with being me. which in a weird way is kind of like a reclamation of who I was when I was a kid. Letting that childlike self out. I have always wondered, though, if I was like an orphan or something, because I don't look like my parents. Good. Good. Yes, it's good to be shameless. I think that's a superpower, to be shameless, to not have a filter. The people I've looked up the most to in my life are the ones that just say whatever comes to mind without worrying about what, and it can be very, very controversial, very offensive sometimes, but I admire that. I admire no inhibition to expression. How have I been these days? I've been good. I've been good. Hold on, there's a bunch of background noise. Um, yeah, how have I been? I should be talking, I'm thinking. No, I actually just went clear. I went very spacious that moment. Um, like my whole struggle, I guess you could say, is how do I appropriately get more attention, um, and do it in a way that's authentic. And while on the one hand, I know how to be me and I know how to be authentic and just express myself. Um, I have got a lot to say. I've got a lot of ideas and a lifetime of evolving perspective regarding the deepest parts of your soul, the deepest parts of what it means to be a human, to be consciousness. And in the recent days of starting my own business and starting my own platform, if you will, creating a label for myself, creating a branding, I look out more and more inquisitively to the environment of internet influencers and spiritual teachers and coaches and all that. And part of it was just my curiosity to analyze how people share this information and express themselves and how it's received. And I'm coming to realize that it's like a complete waste of my time to do that even at all. Because it's all of that analysis and thinking about it and pondering it is not me expressing me. And I just kind of like stumbled upon that. I kind of broke through into that realization this last couple weeks, and it's felt really good. It's kind of clarified my focus and intention. Is there any part of you that goes, I can do better? I mean, yeah, but that's when it's an inevitability. I know that if I continuously put in the steps and build up good habits, so to speak, that I get better at it. And I've seen that. I can look back at my own evolution and see, oh, like for instance, I broke out of my social shell. I used to be afraid to talk to people because I felt so different or detached from regular society and the way that people are thinking in the mass consciousness, and group minds and stuff. And I felt so distant, so on the fringe of everybody else, that I was nervous to get closer and get any attention, because then when I was in the spotlight now, I just instantaneously feel the eye of another, all of their judgments, all of their scruples and scrutiny, and because of that, I had to learn how to step up and get out. So yeah, there have been times where I say I can do better. I know I can do better. Or if I backtrack and I like lazy or distract myself or whatever, and then I remind myself, you can do better. But when I'm on and when I'm doing it, when I'm just being me, I automatically get better. And I think the same goes for everybody. It's automatic. It's inevitable that you improve the more you pour your attention into the thing that you're focused on. You just get better at it. And the same goes for depressing thoughts, and like whatever you focus your attention on is essentially practicing that, is doing reps in that, whatever that is, whatever the focus is. And it, in a sense, gets better, becomes more, because of our attention and holding it to that. Okay, so reading. I personally found that pondering and me expressing myself just to avoid. Half of me loves the scrutiny, like literally likes to receive feedback, free info, even if it outright malevolent. Yeah, and you're so right. And that's really how you learn. You don't learn by just thinking or projecting what that person thinks of you. Even if it, say, is malevolent, or they've got some negative stuff to say about you, it still has to be processed through your own self-image of yourself through their eyes. But you can never truly see through the eyes of another person, no matter how much you imagine it or go into contemplation over it. It's still just you looking at you through this perspective concept of what another, or how another sees you. So yeah, just going out and speaking and acting, you get the feedback, and then that gives you your cue. Does it work? Does it make sense? Is it soaking in? Is it going right over the head? So yeah, it's you're right. You're absolutely right. Feedback is kind of like fuel. It's fuel for a craft, especially in this, being able to speak, put myself out there, broadcast, what have you. Feedback's great. Feedback is good. Scrutiny's good. And, I realized too, like, that was what I was afraid of, all that stuff when it comes to somebody else's attention. But that is the power. There's a power in that fear. And I'm realizing if I just lean into the fear, man, that's a strength. That is a strength. To be honest, and you told me that before, I spend an enormous amount of time merely contemplating and thinking. So go experience, just that it's basically not viable for me at all. Well, I don't know, I don't know what that means, how it cannot be valuable for you to just go experience. Maybe you're just caught up in the habit of contemplating and thinking all the time, and I know that people are. I certainly have been and still fall into that from time to time. I think a lot of that can be remedied by recognizing what is thinking and what isn't. And I'm going to take it a notch, a little higher here in facilitating what many call the sixth sense, intuition, clairvoyance, energy perception, things like that. Now, I'm taking it here because this is another aspect of an ability that a human can possess. Actually, all humans possess it. it just doesn't receive any attention because of the habits and societal structures that are imposed upon us that we follow suit with. But if we were to talk about how one would kindle this extra sensory perception, it's to come back to focusing on what you would call like the five main senses. So one superpower, if you will, is listening. If you are listening, you're not thinking. You can't entirely listen to something. You're only getting little pieces. You're only getting partitions or fractions of what you're listening to. Because if you're littering thought in there, that means for split moments you can't listen anymore. Because you're paying attention to one of your thoughts. Like that little thought becomes more important than what is being received through the vibrations in your eardrum. So part of, say, like just experiencing is to strengthen and practice and utilize your core senses, the raw sensation of the felt experience, and recognize that you can't do one and the other at the exact same time. It's either one or the other. You're not fully listening to a song if you're also thinking. As soon as you start thinking, the song becomes part of the background. If you're listening to another person and you're thinking about what to say next, or assuming how they think or what they need to hear, meanwhile, you're just thinking and not listening to them, which means you're not actually creating a connection of communication. You are communicating with yourself and telling your image of that person what you think that person needs to hear, rather than actually listening or tuning into that person. And I see a lot of people do that in relationships, in business and romantic relationships. People lost the ability to listen because thinking took precedence. Thinking took the pedestal of human achievement. A vacuum just started. Hopefully you can't hear that. So we're taught and conditioned to believe that the mind and thought is more important than the basics of just experience. We put intellect and intelligence on a pedestal, especially here in America. I can't speak for Romania, but I'm sure it's pretty widespread. You know, like doctors and such are given a higher acclaim. They're put higher on the social standing. And what we don't realize is those social standings, those social hierarchies that the society erects and indoctrinates into us, becomes part of our internal psyche. And so if there's a patriarchy externally speaking, there becomes a patriarchy internally speaking, where your mind knows better than your heart, or the man knows better than the female type of situation. And it's expressed through all aspects of the human experience. If this wasn't your YouTube live, I'd rant like crazy, but I'll keep it to a potential private voice chat. Okay. All right, thank you. Yeah. Though I get what you're saying wholeheartedly. Yeah, 'tis the limitation of this medium. But I appreciate it anyway, because it gives me something to a focal point to ground, if you will, all these arcing bolts of energy that are surging through me. And I could take it pretty far from Earth if I don't have somebody to ground me. So I appreciate you being here and talking to me. Okay, I gotta get in the habit of reading when I'm okay, or out loud. Although the responsibility part of me recognizes the necessity to contextually categorize what, where, and how to consider appeals to special slash elite knowledge. And I mean, even those things, to say special or elite knowledge, it's how you identify with what you perceive to be wisdom, or forbidden knowledge is another term. And I've faced a lot of that, or I have, in seeking conversation through internet portals. I've had straight up, flat out fights, giant arguments that what I'm doing isn't, I shouldn't be doing this, that this information is dangerous in the wrong hands, or that I'm dabbling with some sort of like ancient magic or something like that. And I think all those thoughts, that kind of argument, just stems from fear, to be honest. Fear of, because here's I'm gonna kind of break off from that. The thing is that nobody would hear it, what you call special knowledge or elite knowledge, unless you are already geared or tuned in with your mechanism, your body, your spirit, your mind, the relationships therein. If that isn't already set up to receive the knowledge, it won't be heard, or it will be completely misconstrued. And ultimately, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. All that matters is right now. Just the moment you occupy at any given time. That's what is really, and I mean legitimately, literally, thoroughly, figuratively, in all nuances of what it means to matter. It really is all that matters. And it's the same as your heart. It's the same as the deepest recesses of your being is right now, is in your body, is undergoing an experience moment by moment by moment. It's, again, discussing how this societal structure, the impression and impact and influence received from the external world as to how we think and what's important, what's special, putting certain things on a pedestal, other things, creating hierarchies. The whole kit and caboodle of how we structure knowledge, wisdom, energy, prioritizing import or meaning is ever changing. It's that in itself is an evolution. And there comes a point in all consciousness evolution where the point of consciousness, and when I say point of consciousness, that could be referring to anybody, you, me, we are points within consciousness. There's a point where that point comes into clear experience of what that point is. It sees itself in clarity. And then there's a collapsing of all egoic or mental structures, and what you're left with is infinity. Or in another way of saying it is everything being the same thing. All of it is actually the same thing. And our minds, as a physical human being, always are scratching at everything, trying to figure it out, trying to put pieces together, trying to understand this, trying to understand that, trying to understand our relationship to that, or its relationship to itself. But it can never, ever really truly encapsulate or grok absolute infinity. You have to go through the process of shedding preconceptions, notions of how it all works, and then you come back. You come back and rebuild. You recontextualize. You reassess your assumptions and your hypotheses, and you let it again keep going, and then infinity is infinite. There really is no limit, and we continuously expand into that. Sorry, I was going off on that. Regarding your previous point, I am not unaware of the nomenclature to imply painting the aforementioned sources as superior, but credit must be given to its comparative value, necessary in practice. And I mean, yeah, and I'm not trying to downplay it. What I'm trying to do is bring up other things such as raw intuition, instinct, impressions, just raw sensation as just as important. So rather than it being on a pedestal above all the others, superior, as we're talking, it's overrated. It's just overrated and overused, ultimately. And so the balance is out of equilibrium between, again, and I always bring it down to the heart and the mind as two distinct operating functions within consciousness. This can't do what this can do. This can't do what this can do. That's just the way it is. This listens, feels, receives, it opens, it expands into limitless space. The mind contracts and focuses and identifies and defines and creates label and boundary and form. They're just working in two completely polar opposite energies. As for the point of knowledge and heart, it is fairly simple. If we want a better world, we must be better people. And again, we say better, who determines what's better? Well, intuitively, we have a compass for this. We know right and wrong. The only reason that we wouldn't know right and wrong is if we were also in the habit of devaluing ourselves or devaluing our own heart, or our own authority in this life and giving it up to somebody else. Then we can't trust ourselves and we can't trust others. And in that case, we have a higher tendency towards what you would consider doing something wrong or bad in the eyes of morality and values. So by creating an equilibrium, a harmony, taking the heart and putting it on the pedestal along with the mind, that relationship comes into greater harmony, greater health, and automatically you do better. Automatically improvement is made. Hey, Trey Ellis. How to stop trying to impress others or seeking validation. How to stop trying to impress others or seeking validation. It's like a carrot. It's the carrot on the end of the stick. And the carrot on the end of the stick in this case is imaginary. If you are concerned or focused on trying to make an impact on others and seeking acknowledgement, you're actually limiting what that means to yourself, because what you're doing is you're creating an image of what that looks like and trying to adhere to the image rather than what it really is. You don't really have any control over what is going to impact another person or what they're going to approve of, what they're going to like, what they're going to smile at, what's going to bring them joy. You personally can't really know what that is. And honestly, I believe that's a mystery to all of us. It's through authentic expression that real impact and real validation arises in others, because by being authentic, you are actually leading by example and showing the world, showing another
what it means to be you, the true authentic you. And they're going to love that. They're going to like that. They're going to be attracted to that. And they will approve of that in a sense. And you'll receive, the validation that you receive without expecting it will be far greater than trying to meet an expectation of what you do and how it's received. Abstraction of awareness is indeed potentially heavily dangerous, yet growth cannot happen without the threat of cancer. Yeah, and the thing about it is we all live our own life. Everyone gets to live their own life. Even as a parent, and I speak as one, it is your duty and your responsibility to guide your child down the right path, ultimately towards being themselves, accessing and unlocking their abilities and talents, and giving them a safe space to gestate and grow. But on the other hand, she's her own, she's her own person. My daughter's her own person. Our kids are their own people. Everybody is their own person on their own path, and it isn't anyone's authority to determine what is right or wrong for what another person needs to know or learn. And oftentimes people get caught up in trying to control another person's worldview, identity, beliefs, and why that creates war. That creates contempt. It creates disharmony and chaos in relationships. And it's just unproductive. It's not fruitful. And it doesn't better ourselves. So you gotta, and it's part of the mind. The mind wants to control because that's what it does. It's what it does best. And that's why again I talk about accessing other parts of your power, such as the heart, such as being able to listen, empathy, compassion, feeling what another person is going through rather than the passage of how your thoughts are interpreting it. The more you learn to detach from your thoughts and incessant thinking, it's like you're putting down this mind cap that you wear all the time that everything has to pass through, and it allows you to receive experience much more purely, unadulterated by your conceptions or your beliefs about what is right, what is wrong, who you are, what the universe is, all these things. And that's why I say come back to listening, learn how to be quiet, learn how to be really silent, learn how to feel, learn how to immerse yourself into experience, get into the flow, because that's where you'll feel best every single time, is when you're in flow, when you're, maybe if you like to go for a jog and you're listening to music and you get into this rhythm where you are literally hitting every step on every hi-hat in the song, and you get into this sync and this rhythm, and you look up and you see the breeze, and like bang, you see like a light or a flash of light right when the bass hits, and then boom, like you find that rhythm, find that flow, find that interconnectivity with the world around you. The mind won't get you there. Thinking won't get you there. It's when you set that down, you begin to really start to live. Also, good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Trey. What practices have you found most helpful on your journey? What practices? Mine is evolved and transformed day to day. As I was just mentioning, one thing that really gets me this is great, setting down the mind, spiritual practice, meditation, sometimes difficult, sometimes your mind's racing too much. I'll just put on like Spotify or some kind of music app and go shuffle. I put it on shuffle and cycle through songs until one just hits and I really feel it. and then I'll put on headphones. Like, I'll put on headphones and focus all my attention on it, and I'll dance. I'll dance, man. I will groove. I will get into that. Or I will just quiet my mind, and I'll sit still, and I'll let the music unfold into an internal, like, visualization, like a music video in my mind, and I'll watch all the colors and patterns change form and take shape with the texture of the music, and I'll see this interlocking thing, and it's just another activity of a mind. So I would say, to answer that, what practices have you found to that are most helpful in your journey are little rituals, giving your mind a new job to do. I like playing with energy. I make energy balls. Make an energy ball. Feel your chi. Feel the energy passage through the portals in your hands. Feel a cooling. Feel a warmth. Feel a tingling sensation. And then hold your attention to it. Don't think about it. It's not a thinking process. It's not a thinking skill. Use your mind for something else. Focus in on light. See light there. Form a ball of light. Form a circle. Take a circle. On the inhale, inhale circle. Exhale sphere. Inhale circle. Exhale sphere. Practice moving, expanding dimensions in and out. And it's like giving your mind just something completely new to do, and it completely starts rewiring your brain to a whole new bevy of abilities that you didn't even know you had. And what you're doing is opening your third eye. You're like prying open your third eye over and over again. Just, let's have a look there. Let's have a look there. Instead of it constantly, I gotta worry about this, I gotta worry about this, I gotta worry about these people and my feelings and all these things over here. It's just habit. So you breaking the pattern, breaking the habit is monumentally transforming across the board, and it's a life skill you'll carry with you into old age. I have to tune out for now. Keep being awesome. I love you, Andrew. Thank you for showing up. How to rise above inevitable suffering in this life? In other words, is transcending suffering possible? In short, yes. Yes. So looking at suffering, or as I read it, as what you're saying. Suffering is a way of describing internal resistance to being fully present, fully in the moment, letting yourself be. Anything that acts as a resistance to that, keeping you from just being yourself, right here, right now. Everything is fine. Everything is perfect. I'm in the right place at the right time. Everything is where it needs to be. There's nothing I need to do. I don't need to get better. There's no improvements made that need to be made, or all of that will work itself out as it needs to. If you can say that completely, you're opening this trust, a complete trust. So suffering, in a sense, is like the antithesis to trust, to trusting yourself and just letting go or letting be. And it can happen, and it does happen, and you can witness the world around you and people in it who are tapping into it. And we call it many things. I mean, in the spiritual world, they call it samadhi or nirvana or being enlightened or whatever. In sports, they call it flow state. It's the most epic, incredible musicians and artists and athletes have cracked into it and know how to do it. And all they've done is, throughout their life, figured it out on their own. They figured out how to do it for themselves. Here's an example, because I know you're watching, you like baseball. So you see it with a guy who, has home records for home runs or whatever. Pretty much any professional athlete is going to be incredible. Your batter steps up they go through this. Even the pitcher does it. They all do it. They all go through this little ritual, like they'll spit over here, right to left. Then they'll maybe swirl the bat around, and they'll like hit it on their right or left foot or something, and then they're ready, right? They're ready to take the swing. That is this little entrained skill that they've developed, that they put into place, that cues them up or readies them to be in perfect flow for when that ball comes. They're going to crack that sucker, and it's going to soar past the audience. That is an example of somebody tapping into a state of no suffering. Is lying to others to protect your image even only sometimes a self-defeating practice? Yeah. Yeah, you're answering the question within the question. So it's a close-ended question, yes. Because your image is always going to change, and you can't control your image of how other people see you, because how they see you is through their self-image. How you see yourself in the eyes of others is through the passage of your self-image. So you have a mental filtration system that is your image. That's your whole image processing unit. We call that the ego, for instance. That's the operating system for which your mind operates with. It's the programming of your mind. If you're trying to protect that by putting up a false image or lying to other people, it creates a breakdown in the transfer of information, a breakdown in communication. So the others are not getting an authentic version of you or who you really are. Or I should say they are getting a version of you, but not who you really are. And because of that, it's breaking down communication. So it's not just defeating you, but it's defeating others too by lying to them. Because on some deep level, it means you don't trust or believe that they can handle who you really are, or you devalue yourself, or you don't believe in yourself for who you really are, or what you're capable of. It's all about how you view yourself. You would only want to lie if you don't like yourself. So by doing so, you're in a sense of validating your own self-deprecating idea of who you are. Well, looks like I don't know if anyone's here now. That's pretty good. It's a pretty good little. I thought it was useful. Oh, okay. Oh, I just got your message. I don't know how old it is, though. But thanks, Alex. No. Sorry if you lost me there. Yeah, drop another question if, or a statement or something, if you're with me. I am afraid to be myself toward others. Lying seems to be reasonable to me to hide my flaws. I'll tell you what right now. If you lie to somebody, or if you're hiding yourself to somebody who is authentic, who is being real, they'll see right through that. They'll see right through it. and they won't give you the time of day. Which means if they're like a prospective employer or business partner, any form of opportunity that you have with them will be ruined. Now, it might work, at least temporarily, with other people if they're acting fake or if they're putting up an image. Then you're just playing the game that they're playing. But for real people who are real, it won't work. It won't last. It won't get you anything. It won't get you anywhere, except for more internal suffering, more worrying about what you did, going over regrets, going over the past. It just creates more mental baggage to sort through, which keeps you from living your life, being happy, or overcoming suffering. That's the suffering. Suffering is sorting through all the mental baggage. That creates resistance. And again, because what it's doing is taking you away from you. It's taking you away from being right here, right now. And it's keeping your heart from being happy. It's keeping you from being happy, from getting to fully express yourself and be yourself. Yeah. Fear is a funny thing. Fear is incredibly effective in its function. And its function, fear's function, is to protect your ego, which is how you see yourself in the eyes of others, how you see yourself in your own eyes, and your current model of reality. It's protected by fear. So it's kind of like the spikes in the outer bulwark or shielding around this thought structure that you think of as yourself. Just what you think you are, not who you really are. Who you think you are and who you really are different. Who you think you are is your ego. Who you really are is your breath right now. Is your essence. It's your pure being. It's the little sound effects emitting off of you when you scratch yourself or blow your nose or whatever. I mean, that's you. That's you. It's the actual raw output. Everything else is this internal imaging mechanism that we call our mind, sorting out images and symbols and ideas of who we think we are. And it's tough, man. It's tough to be yourself with others because others are in pain. Others suffer. Others are dealing with their own ramshackled identities, and they're very displeased with what they have and what they're working with and their relationships. And so people can be mean. Is enlightenment a permanent state? Yes, in the sense of, I think it'd be better to use maybe not so much permanent, but rather infinite. Enlightenment is an infinite state, meaning it has no limit. But to draw a distinction between permanent and infinite, and maybe we're just plucking at hairs here in semantics, or it would be like the difference of saying infinite and absolute. Just because you have freed yourself of suffering, there's no reason why you wouldn't take it on again. It's not like I guess I would have to define enlightenment. Enlightenment is coming into, and this is an evolution. This is a process. Evolution is a process. It'd be better to say it this way. Enlightenment is actually always happening. Everybody's enlightened. Everybody's enlightened, but what occurs with that through the process of picking apart and opening up into new vantages of the potentials of who you are, who you really are, and what the universe really is, and what all these things are that we call God, spirit, higher awareness, energies. As we expand into greater awareness, we are in the process of enlightening. So we are lightening up more. We are not only getting brighter, but we are becoming lighter, meaning we're setting more weight down. We're setting what could be called lower vibration, or just that luggage I was talking about, the mental luggage. As you set that down, you become lighter. And there comes these like levels that you reach, these moments of upgrade, like a level up, where you set something big down, and it really frees up a lot of ability to see and experience and feel, and opens up this spaciousness, this stillness within you. And I think there's even probably argument and everything as to what that, of where, where do you put the pin in? Like, no, this is enlightenment. No, this is enlightenment. No, this is awakening. It's it's the mind picking it up and trying to make luggage out of it. It's like, I need to label this and put this into a box and sort this out so that for further study and analysis. But true enlightenment isn't a mental game. It's the setting down of the mind, and that will continuously happen as a process for anybody that has a consciousness. So it's an ongoing process that is infinite. It's not a state, it's getting out of state. Enlightenment is freedom from the state of mind, freedom from states of mind. And states of mind are the barriers of what makes it a state distinguishable from all other states is mental. It's upon thought forms and structures as to this is my relationship with this person, or my life, or my job, or my loved one, or what have you. Those barriers, those boundaries that we create are always changing and always moving. So like a meditative practice would be to try to find the edge of you. Where is the edge? Where do you end and the universe around you begins? Is it just for your skin? Is it outside of your skin? Is it actually inside? Is it inside your head? Where do you draw that line? Where do you begin? Or where do you end, and where does everything else begin? Or is that all made up? Is that just some imaginary thing that your mind uses to try and hold on? Hold on to something. What? What are you holding on to, and why? That's a good jump. It was a good question. I'm not the type that's going to be like telling people what enlightenment is, because it's really up to you. That's kind of the tricky thing about approaching spirituality, especially as a coach such as myself, is it's up to you. And that's, I think, something that one can pick up on and realize as they expand into their own enlightenment, is how much you really are running the show. Like, you're the script writer, you're the camera guy, you're the audience, and you're everybody on the stage. You're the whole kit and caboodle. You're all of it. You really are. And yeah, it's and the same can be said for everybody. And that everybody lives in their own distinct universe, completely separate from everything else. except when we share a moment, when we come together, when we come into this eternal blessed now. And what occurs is a mesh, a blending of our mind. And then it's like we overlap our universes. And beautiful things can occur. But left to our own devices, we literally exist within our own universe. We really do. It may seem like we share this great big universe, and we do in a lot of senses, and everybody has influence. Another way of putting it is that you're an influencer. Doesn't matter if you have a YouTube channel or you're extroverted or introverted or whatever. It doesn't matter. You're an influencer. First and foremost, you influence you. You're always influencing yourself. Then by extension, you're influencing the people around you all the time, just by being you. Even by not being you, even by lying. It's having an influence. It is pushing out into the world around you and making some form of an impact. Always. You can't get away from it. It's impossible to. Everybody. There's not one person that has not some kind of influence on the world around them. Doesn't matter the dynamic of their relationships with the people that they're around. Doesn't matter if they're soft and like a sheep and they follow. Doesn't matter if they're a lion and they're loud and boisterous and commanding, a leader type. Doesn't matter. Everyone's an influencer. Now, some people have more influence. Yes, this is true. But those kind of measurements are fleeting. And only the results of such measurements only work or are useful within a finite system. I could go all day. Thank you for joining me. I hope you're still there. I don't know if that answered your question or if that's what you wanted to hear, but I really appreciate you being here and asking questions and talking to me. So thank you. Like even to expand further, this feels really good for me to kind of like turn on the valve and let it flow, even if nobody's watching at this point. I see a 0 up there. It feels good to let it out. So that's another thing that can be said. If you're letting it out, you're not internalizing. And that feels good, to not just be stuck into the internal process, but to open it up and send it forth.
Technical difficulty. Oh, I've been doing this for an hour then. Been doing it for over an hour. I think it's probably a good time for me to sign out. Thanks anybody that watched, that came in live or watched later on. Thank you very much. Tune in next time.